Backed by popular demand. All three of us again.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
How good is this? I'm loving it.
Yeah. But how quick's
Okay.
this year gone already?
Yeah.
We've spoken to a lot of builders already in
Yeah,
just the last
absolutely.
week and a little bit being back. I guess some builders feel like they're excited for the year.
Certainly.
Do you
Definitely.
feel the same?
I think now, like after the last few years, they've just broken through. Now it's like, yeah, let's move ahead. Let's
Yeah.
move needle.
But I still get a sense that some builders just feel like, I don't know, they're not moving the needle in their business, or they're not quite happy with how much that needle has moved in the business.
Yeah, I
And
think
I mean, you obviously talk to a lot of builders. Like, what do you think could be a cause?
cause, I think, definitely dive into that. I think a lot of them, not a lot, there are those that are excited, but I am definitely coming across consistently guys that feel like they're plateauing.
Plateauing.
Yeah.
What,
they're
like
just sort of
personally
sitting,
or in business?
both. I think for a lot of the builders that we talk to and those that reach out to us, those are somewhat intertwined. They're go-getter kind of builders, and so they put a lot of time and energy into growing their business. It's a big part of their life. So those are pretty intertwined.
I think a big thing also is people are tired too. I mean, they've just had a break, but it is maybe they've had a big year last year and they're still recovering.
Yeah, I think in terms of their tiredness, they've had a big year, they've come back, and now it's like, oh man, to do that again. And especially if they want to do better and they want to improve, it's like, I got to do that again and some.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that can be overwhelming. And then you just have holiday-itis.
Yeah.
You come back and, to do a whole week's worth of work, you're
Yes.
just not used to it sometimes.
But it's like running a 100-meter sprint, and then someone says, "Okay, cool. Now you got to go. You got to keep running. You got to keep sprinting." And you're like, "What?" But I just sprinted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess for me, like the feeling I'm getting is a lot of builders feel lonely. Especially being the business owner, for example. They might have a great team and so on, and really great culture and good clients, but when they drive home that afternoon or night, they kind of think to themselves like, man, like, they just get this feeling of like loneliness, like,
Yeah, feeling like it's a lone ride.
yeah.
It's like I got to figure things out myself. I got to make decisions by myself. Yeah.
And that decision, I spoke to one of our really close builders. I see him as a great friend now, yesterday, and we were talking about decision fatigue. And I don't think many people realize how detrimental decision fatigue can be to you and your growth in the business, family life, and everything. I know for me, like, if I have to make a lot of decisions on a particular day, and I get to a stage where I struggle to like close a decision, like make the actual decision, I just keep pondering about it, trying to
It's
figure out.
even
Like,
worse.
I go home and I'm not even there with my wife and my baby girl. Like I'm not there. Like it's
Not
very true.
functioning. Yeah.
I think, on that thought as well, the loneliness, I think a lot of guys, I've spoken to definitely agree it's lonely at the top.
Yep.
You can't your spouse doesn't necessarily understand what you're going through as a business owner, and you don't want to lay it all on her or him. We have building owners that are male and female. But the other thing is, when you're leading a team, you can't talk to your team about some of the challenges.
Yes.
As a leader,
Yeah.
they're looking to you for leadership. They're looking
Yeah.
to you to lead them, to excite them, to inspire them. And so you can't come to them and say, man, I'm having a really crappy day, mentally, or I'm struggling to make these decisions. Or there are sometimes some relationships where you probably could be, but in large part, you're having to deal with it a lot yourself, and they're looking up to you to make the final calls.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's a lonely game. But I guess this podcast is not meant to be all like sad and I think like, again, the title of this podcast is moving the needle in your building business this year, and what you can do and what we see, what some of those great builders are doing, and just a bit of a disclaimer. So the builders that we see that are succeeding, they might be succeeding in particular areas in life and business and not in other areas. So just because, like, if one of those builders are, like, let's say, succeeding in business, that doesn't mean they've got to stop and stop evolving themselves and stop working on themselves from a personal development point of view and keep themselves topped up.
Yeah.
So it's about like, learning, identifying what are your strengths, and also identifying what are your weaknesses and how you can, because that's the biggest opportunity. If you can identify some of your weaknesses or the things that you're struggling with personally and in business, and then fix those weaknesses or work on them, improve them, there's massive upside there. And I believe that's really what moves the needle in your business. It's not sometimes doing the things that you're doing good already, even better. It's sometimes just fixing or improving the things that you're not good at.
Yeah. Like I hear what you say there, and it's like, and from what I can understand, it's being very self-aware of yourself. And how does one do that? How does like, for example, to give the builders an example, how do you go about what you've just talked about?
Well, it's hard like seeing that for yourself, right? It's hard because we're so busy always thinking and trying to solve problems, and it's really hard to look at yourself. So really you need a mirror of some sort, like, and there's a few ways you can do that. But yeah, I guess, we've got 3 subtopics that we want to dive in today.
Yeah.
And these all help with moving the needle. These are going to be big things.
Yeah, 100%. I guess the first one is like learn from other builders. And
Massive.
it's to almost think that like, look, I'm not perfect, so I'm going to learn from other builders, whether they are just starting out or whether they are like 10 years, 20, 30 years in front of you. See, I think a lot of builders think they can only learn from people that have already achieved the things that they achieve. But what about the up-and-comers? Like,
Because they bring fresh blood. Yeah.
And also, if you look across, let's say there's a builder that you think is on par with you, there are going to be things internal that they do differently and they exceed better at, and maybe fall short other areas where you might exceed at. And so looking, because often people say, look for someone who's ahead of you. And I definitely agree with that. Look for that. I know one of our guys, his quote is 30%, 30%, 30%, or 33, 33, 33. So 33% of your time, energy, when you look at engaging with someone else, look at someone who's ahead of you, then 33% of your time maybe with those alongside you, and then 33% with the guys who are, let's say, not yet where you are, up and coming.
Yeah.
And why would you do it that kind of way? Like, it's like 3 different
those are
age groups.
Those are not necessarily age groups. It's more guys who are ahead of you, where you want to be, so you can learn from them. Guys alongside you, so you're learning from. They're in the trenches in the trenches with you at that time. So they might be about to jump into something, or they've just finished something that you think, I was about to just do that. Where someone who's well ahead can give you more of a 40,000 foot view, but can't necessarily say, put your foot there in the trench. And someone who is up and coming might have new ideas, but also this guy that I was talking about, his perspective was more on, don't forget where you've come from. Someone once helped you.
So is it more about giving back to those 33%?
Big time.
Okay.
Because if you're looking to have help from those ahead of you, you're not willing to help someone behind you, then it's a bit counterintuitive.
I think this works on different levels. So the 33% of people that are like up and coming, I believe, yes, that's about like giving back. One, just about from an ethical point of view, like what you just said there.
Yeah.
I think the second thing as well is you can actually look at them, because they might be looking at things a little bit differently because they are fresh.
Yeah.
They don't have these preconceived ideas of running a business, and you might just pick up on something that you might think is true, but it's really not true anymore, or things might have changed. But I would also argue that if you teach that 33%, by teaching or by giving value to them, it makes you think about how you can actually improve as a business as well. I think there's this quote. What's that quote? It's like, the best way to learn is to teach.
Yeah. If you're able to teach something and then simplify it and dumb it down and teach it, that's when you really know it.
Yeah, because you're kind of putting yourself out of your shoes. It's like we were saying the other day, like even for us in Biz Video, we kind of go like, there's these different people that we kind of look up to in different areas of business. And sometimes when we're making a decision, we can be so close to the decision right here in front of us and how we normally take a decision on like that, where we go now, like, wait, what would say this guy say about it? So for example, like what would Elon Musk say about this? And then straight away you put yourself in Elon's shoes and you go, yeah, just do this and this and this, and then that's it.
Yeah, I think because we overcomplicate our own problems so much. You know, a problem might come up, or a project that we have to do internally within our business. And when I say we, it's like builders or anyone, right? You get stuck on like yourself and in your own mind, you overcomplicate things. And then, yeah, if you can see it from that third party perspective, like, yeah, how would Elon Musk do it? Or how would XYZ builder do it? Like, because it's so easy to look at someone else and fix them. Like,
Absolutely.
you know, with like kids, right? When people like when other parents come over to your house with kids, and then the kid might be like, I don't know, naughty or whatever.
Or even if you're like pre-kids, pre-kids, you're very like, oh my goodness, who's that kid's parent?
Yeah, like why doesn't the parent just like, you know,
stop that kid
from doing that thing? And then you're like, then you have a kid, you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
In regards to like learning from other builders, as a team, you know, I know yourself, JP and Luke and so on, when you guys are talking to builders, sometimes the builders like just wanting to know, like, I just want to learn from that one builder that I've seen. I really like what they do. Like, I wish I was like a fly on the wall. And in our example with this video, like looking back, way back when we started, like some days I was like, and I think when I felt the same, it was like, I just wish, like if you're looking at other companies around the world doing amazing stuff within like what we do, from like a storytelling and marketing, etc. It's like, I wish I could just be a fly on the walls some days, just to see what's that little detail that they do there, and like how do they approach that one little moment right there when something like that happens. Because like back then it was like, man, if I could just see those things, it would just help our journey so much more and just speed us up to get to where we want to go.
Yeah,
100%.
That's very common from a lot of builders I talk to, is they just want to know what are other builders you're talking to doing.
Yeah, that's literally what they ask you, right?
Yeah.
So when you're having a chat with a builder, what do they ask? Like, literally,
word for word would be, what are your other builders doing?
Yeah, and it's every day.
Every day. Yeah.
And in our mind, like we take this for granted. We think we're just assuming like that they will know.
Yeah.
So, but why do they ask that? Like, why are people so keen to know?
Because it's this concept of they're lonely at the top. They know, and that idea of plateauing that I mentioned earlier, a lot of them have gotten the business to where it is maybe because of their experience and their knowledge. But that concept of what has gotten you to that stage or that level is not necessarily what's going to get you past there. It might even cap you there.
So they feel stuck.
And some have the self-awareness to know that, some don't. And that's why it's so important to, and we've seen the benefits of that so many times over, is getting around other people, either in some sort of group setting or community setting, or I know when we run our workshops, you know, that's a big thing is when, I had a builder yesterday who came, we got the one coming up soon in Brisbane, and he was
9th of February, by the way.
9th of Feb.
So look out for the link somewhere.
And he came to one in Brisbane last year, and he said, "Oh, should I come back?" And I said, well, "Is it worth me coming back?" And I was like, "It's worth you coming back if you want it to be worth you coming back.
Yeah.
If you're going to come with a mindset of what can I learn, what can I give, and what can I learn from this, treat it. We have guys that travel around the country to multiple of our workshops, and they just keep coming back. And it's because they come with a growth mindset. What can I get from this time around that I didn't get from last time? And what can I give? What kind of questions can I offer to the group?
Even if it's the same content, where it's not. But I don't know about you, but have you ever listened to or read a book twice? Yeah. You know, the second time you're like, what? When did that get in there? Like, I didn't hear that last time.
Big time.
Yeah. So no, that's good. So that's a long topic one. So yeah, learn from other builders. Massive. Topic number 2, or subtopic number 2 for this podcast is inspired by external industries.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean?
I'm quite passionate about this because, you know, I believe you've got to learn from other builders the way they do things. You're going to save a lot of time, heartache, money, to learn from others that have come before you. But I believe as well, it's our duty to optimize and evolve our business, and a really great way to do that as well, alongside number one, like learning from other builders, is to look at other industries and how they do particular things. So an example is, if you're a builder, chances are you have clients, unless you do non-client work. But let's assume you have clients. Those clients are going on a journey with you. You're taking those clients on a journey, which means there's some sort of customer experience, customer journey happening there at that time. And if you look at companies like, let's say, for example, like Amazon, for example, Jeff Bezos, the way he creates and optimizes that customer journey is next level. Because one of his key principles in his business in Amazon is what is best for the client, what's best for the customer. Yeah. So he's always thinking, okay, well, they want their whatever they buy like really fast. They want to be able to, when they make a decision, that it kind of just happens. So there's like one click. And he's even gone so far to optimize the whole process where they even bought their own planes and their own trucks and everything, so that they can be in control of that customer journey. So I'm not saying you have to, buy your own plane for your, your building business, but yeah, what are some key areas that you can, let's say, just use that example, the Amazon example, in your own business to make that customer journey even better? Because people always say, and I know I'm hogging the mic here, but people always say like their biggest fear is like dodgy builders, number one, but number two is a lack of communication, for example. So customers, clients, people that build, they go, yeah, my builder is not communicating to me enough, for example. So what can you learn from other industries that are actually communicating really well?
I think maybe if I simplify it further for a lot of our guys, because sometimes I think some builders we talk about Amazon, it's like that's just too far removed.
Yep.
To how can I use that as a example to relate to my business? But you just think about the podcasts you might listen to.
Yeah.
You might listen to a podcast as someone who's in a completely different industry of how someone else started the business and scaled a business. There's so much you can learn from that. They're not a builder. They're not running a construction company. So it's also things like that. I'm just in terms of 100%. Simplifying it. Yeah.
I mean, have you see this quite a lot? I mean, you and I, we always look at what other industries are doing.
I mean, even going way back in the early days where we worked with a lot of different companies, and just sometimes being there with the director or the manager or the CEO, whatever they
it might be like a software company.
Yeah, so like a software company, and then how they would operate with their clients and how they would think and operate with their staff and their team. And then every time there's these little things, I was like, man, like that's interesting. I didn't think about it this way. So if you're able to kind of get yourself in to understand from different perspectives, maybe even like walking into a coffee shop,
I was just going to say, like, I love going to a coffee shop with you guys, or we go out for dinner or something like that, and just how the two of you, and then we get thinking together and we just analyze the way we interact with the waiter or the waitress, or how they serve us.
Yeah.
They're selling us, but they're serving us.
Yes.
And you end up investing more in your meal when they serve you more.
So such a good example.
Yeah.
Because that restaurant example is like, obviously they're going to be good at serving. So you can learn a lot from them. So if you can incorporate that into your business, into your building business, and you have that thing of with a waiter that comes to you and they kneel down and they get to your level, that body language, and they're really interested and they ask questions. They're things that you can learn already. So, and then even like lawyers and accountants, there's things you can learn from them too. Yeah. That you can put into your business, like lawyers being very direct at some points, because sometimes
make sure it's in writing.
Exactly, make sure it's in writing. You're very direct so that people understand exactly this is it. You're not beating around the bush.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to.
These little things.
It doesn't have to be things that are good that other industries are doing. You might be like with a telephone company, for example, and a lot of people get really annoyed at telephone companies, and there's good reasons why. And you could feel that pain as a customer and go, I don't want to do that to my customers. So I'm going to put something in place so that they never feel like that. Yeah. So you're getting inspired by other industries to learn from them the positives but then also looking at what are some of the negative things that you don't want to
Yeah,
have in
it'd
your
be like,
business.
you're going into, say, a phone company and you stand in the shop for 5-10 minutes and no one has acknowledged you.
Yeah, not even a hello.
Not even a hello, not even, so I see you, I'll be with you shortly. I'm just working with this client at the moment. Take a chance to look around. Imagine if you have a show home, you know what I mean? Are you teaching if you're on the floor or one of your staff are on the floor, are you teaching them to acknowledge everyone who comes to that door? Even if you're trying to sign some docs with someone, acknowledge them when they come in, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, great. So number 3, evolve by, so again, just a reminder, this podcast is about moving the needle in your building business this year. So topic 1 was learn from other builders. Topic 2, inspired by external industries. And number 3 is evolve by having systems in place.
Where does, in a building company, it's big. Where do you start? When you look at systems, how does someone approach that?
Well, I think, again, you've got to simplify everything. So you can look at it from a marketing, sales, operations, admin, finance, your key kind of parts of the business. And then looking at what systems do I have in place in all those areas. Business as a whole is a system. And then within that system, we've got more systems. And there's this quote, I can't remember who it was by, but the person said, create systems and systems will set you free, right? And what does that mean for the building business owner? It means they can get out of the day-to-day, okay, because they've got systems in place and people in place, technology in place, things are moving within that system, and that builder can get out and start looking for different opportunities, better opportunities, do a lot of the things we're saying in this podcast, like, learn from other builders, connecting with other builders, and look at other industries, travel around, maybe travel to different countries, travel, and really see how different people are doing different things and get inspired by that. So you can come back and then optimize those systems even more.
So what's the best way to kind of take it on? Where do you start? Because there's so many areas within it. We know everything from your marketing, sales, your admin, finance, your actual operations, delivery, etc. Where do you start?
Well, again, it's keep things super simple. I would almost just take a piece of paper and write down, from the get-go, your marketing, your sales, your operations, and then what are the key systems in there. Marketing, you probably just need one system. Sales, one system. Operations, you might have a few different systems depending on your business, but one part of that, it could be operations, but it's probably more so the admin side is how do we hire, what system do we have in place to hire more people?
Hire and onboard and train, upskill.
Yeah, that's right. So having that in place and really simplifying it. We have recently launched our book, which is in the form of PDF and audio. JP was the narrator, so you can listen to his beautiful voice. And it's called How to Market Your Building Business. So that's where we literally cover the whole system for marketing your building business. So you could have a look around, go find that. But spend some time and, optimize the systems within your business.
I think a big thing as well I've seen when I'm talking to builders who have begun to implement their systems and their process, it does give them the freedom. It gives them the freedom to come to the workshops. And then it gives them, when they're in that position, they're able to talk to other builders. They're able to learn, they're able to, which is amazing for them. The feedback is consistently really, really good from those workshops.
Yeah.
It also gives them the freedom to, if I think of some of the builders all the builders in our synthesis group, they all have systems and process in place to stop and take 2 hours a week to jump in on a call.
Yeah, and that long weekend away in Byron.
Yeah. And if you ask all of them, they would say that it seems crazy, but the value they have gotten from it is just priceless. Yeah. On so many levels.
And it's real hard to do that kind of thing, like step outside. If you're the one part of those systems, like you are the one running to Bunnings to pick up a few things, if you're the one, having to manually do things in your marketing every single day or every single week, and then you get busy on that side, then you're marketing. It's almost like a lot of builders, especially ones that first start out, you know, they put a little bit of effort into their marketing, very manual, they don't have a system, and then they get a few like projects, so they start doing the projects, and that system, the marketing system, stops completely.
You mentioned that. I had a guy, yes, I was talking to, and exactly that happened. He, really tough time over the last few years. Just trying to, no projects, his pipeline was dry, and he went into a state of emergency and printed a whole bunch of brochures and hand delivered them all over town to potential referral partners, started the architects and designers, and that effort, you know, that all out effort brought projects, great projects at the margins that he wanted, and it's perfect. But now his attention has been there for the last 6 months, and now he's talking to us going, I've only got like 4 months left in this pipeline. My attention has to stay on these projects. I can't market, but I know that my pipeline's going to run dry again. And so it's this up and down, and that's very consistent in terms of what we're hearing from the new builders that are coming to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think another thing is like, you know, you asked before, like how do you do this? How do you look at these? How do you optimize these systems basically? And it goes with the first 2 points of this podcast. It's learn from other builders. You know, put yourself in a situation so you can learn from those builders, and because you might overthink the systems that you have in place, you might overcomplicate them, and then you look at other builders that are just smashing it, and you go, wow, that's actually a really basic and simple system they have within marketing, and a really basic sales process / system they have in place there. They might have, you know, someone in the team calling people that inquire straight away with some preset questions to qualify them, and then, you know, in operations you've got your set system there. And yeah, I know as business, like this is for myself, I want to always keep adding to our business, and that's the problem, because then it gets bloated, right, with too many things. Sometimes it's more important to take stuff away and simplify.
To cull off.
Yeah, and I strongly believe that you can do that by learning from other builders, and number 2, looking at like different external industries and so on. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say on the whole systems topic?
It's something that you can go in so deep. I think one way to even just start it off is to put yourself almost like you're teaching someone else. Like we were talking before, teaching, let's say, a system within the business, you're teaching someone that system, and then suddenly you just put the most important things down for that system. But then sometimes, that takes a lot of time to set those systems up. And like you said before, sometimes it's easier just to kind of, if you have someone else that you can partner up with, or even that you relate with,
like an accountability partner or someone.
Yeah, or someone like that's also in building. They might already have gone through that whole process, and you guys could even switch. It's almost like switching cards. It's going, you know what, man, I've done this part of the business. You've done that part. And then suddenly you've just shared this wealth of knowledge that's already gone into these systems, and now suddenly both of you are better off.
100%. I mean, I spoke to one of our clients yesterday that's in synthesis, and he was saying that a lot of things that, you know, we talk about, he knows about those things, but when he voices them, he gets immediate feedback from the other members in that group that are saying like, look, I think you might be overthinking this, or I think you could probably simplify this, or you could do it this way. And then it's a small little switch with a big upside. So we call that leverage, right? Small little action that you do, big upside.
I was just thinking now, my head going back through these 3 points that we were talking about today, and just if you're trying to do that on your own, trying to go out and find builders to learn from, then trying by yourself to go out and find other industries, where do you even start? There's so many industries. Where do you start to even go looking, where can I learn from? And what framework do I need to take to make sure I'm taking on good things and leaving things behind that are no good to take on or waste of time? And then, what systems and processes are right for me? You know, how many guys we talk to that try a system, try a software for a little while, nothing really happens, or they don't get the results they want, and they jump onto the next one. And you think, imagine if they could have just spoken to someone, bypassed the whole trial and just gone with the one that was right for them. And so that's where you talk about synthesis there, but just the concept of being in a group consistently, being a part of a community, call it that, where imagine if you could talk to the same builders all the time, and they became your friends, and you could talk about, well, what are you guys doing? I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think about that? You're bouncing ideas off. You can get it out of your own head.
100%.
So you don't know, there's like circling. I'm sure guys listening to this know that feeling of when that thought is just going around and around and around your head and you can't land it anywhere.
It's like a treadmill.
And you just need someone to go, no, drop it. And you think, man, I carried that weight for like 3 days, a week, and someone just said, drop it, and that's all I needed. It's don't waste time on it. Or for someone to say, simplify that.
Just a quick one off topic. We get a lot of builders asking us about synthesis, Mastermind. You can see JP's in pain there. He's got to always answer to those builders.
So what is it for those that might be new on the podcast? Like, what is synthesis Mastermind?
I don't want to give away too much because it is full, right? And that's why we get a lot of builders asking us what is synthesis?
What is it?
Why am I not in it? It's a very select few builders that we catch up with every single week. They catch up with each other. We come together. It is full at the moment. So if it's something that you're interested in at some point, talk to JP about it. He's probably not going to give you any information because, again, it is completely full. But at least we know, okay, when spots open or whatever, we could touch base with you. But that might not even happen. So I just wanted to touch on that because we do talk a lot about it, and we're getting people asking, like yesterday. That builder's probably listening to this podcast right now.
Probably.
It's no offense, mate, but but in saying that, in our previous podcast that we did together, 2024 predictions, one of the predictions is you've got to be part of some sort of community, right? So this is the plug for the podcast, and that is Cutting Edge Builders. So by the time you're listening to this podcast, Cutting Edge Builders will be up and running, okay? And it's a community group. There's going to be a lot more builders in this, and there's not going to be in-person events or anything, but it's going to be a community that builders can come together. We can learn from each other, specifically around sales and marketing. We won't be touching on anything else. We'll have some external guests in. What else are we doing?
When we have external guests in, or we're talking about any sort of specific topics, we're going to have recordings of that. They'll be able to they'll be saved there in the community that guys can go and watch and repeat and learn from. We'll have external experts coming in on certain topics. We'll have other builders that are doing certain things well.
And telling their story.
Sharing case studies, sharing their stories, what they've tried and what worked and didn't work.
And the whole goal with having other builders in there is to inspire everyone, to uplift this industry. I think a big belief for us.
Big impact that we want to make is to lift the industry. We can say, we're here helping builders really grow their businesses through marketing and sales, etc., and storytelling. But at the end of the day, if we can leave one thing, and it's just if we could have been a part of lifting this industry, and
definitely
all our builders being a part of that with us, that's really cool. Because that's what our team, they come here every day, and they're so inspired because the stories that we hear about the impact that is being played out with the builders that we work with. That's super inspiring.
We
wanted to... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, a big reason why this community is being created is literally because of demand. It's the amount of builders that we talk to that want to be put in touch with other builders. Or do you have anyone, have you ever spoken to someone like this? And so sometimes I feel like half my week is just connecting builders.
100%.
Because they just want to talk to another builder who's done this. Or someone called me on Monday. I really want to start charging for quotes, but I'm struggling. My wife and I, we handle the front end, and we're just struggling to articulate that. How do I, and he's read resources and books and stuff, but they're just struggling with it. So, then I jump on the phone and I talk to some builders who I think are doing it very well. Trying to connect them, and that's constantly. So this group is really there to go, hey guys, if you're in the group, ask it. There's going to be, of the hundreds or thousands of builders in this community. There's going to be people there who are doing it well. And this community is for the name, cutting edge. It's guys who want to be better, want to be the best in their market, and also don't see the guy next to them as competition. It's I want to help you because they want to lift the industry.
This is not just for the up and coming builder, the builder starting out. It's for the veteran as well. It's for everyone to come together. Again, it's going to be marketing and sales specific. So up and become cutting edge with marketing and sales, because remember, marketing and sales is the fuel for your business.
Yeah, and those two definitely need to work together.
That's right. Synthesis is a completely different group. It's a very small number. It's very intimate. We catch up every single week, and there's a lot of. I'm not going to disclose any topics that we talk about in there, but most of the time it's not even related to marketing and sales whatsoever, and that is where huge value comes. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer in there about synthesis. But so if you're interested in cutting edge builders, if you're interested to learn from other builders, learn from industry experts, learn from us,
and give back as well.
And give back. That's the big one. That's what I was just
because we've got quite a few builders that we work with that are like mentors.
Yeah,
and they might only be in their 40s or in 50s, but it's like leaving the next generation. They understand how important it is that the people coming through.
Yeah,
and they're grateful for the people who helped them when they came up.
Exactly.
Yeah. And we're going to cover a lot of topics in there. We're going to cover storytelling, the psychology of storytelling, why you should incorporate storytelling more into your business. And I'm not just talking videos. I'm talking in terms of your customer service, using story. Because remember, people don't remember what you tell them. They remember how you make them feel. Yeah. And the best way to make someone feel something is through story.
I think story is also important, just to add to that, for the team. Sometimes you as a business owner, you're hearing the feedback from the client once they've walked in their new home, they've lived in it for a few months or a year or something like that. You cross paths at the shops with them and they're just praising you for it. But how much of that and that story are you telling to your team to inspire them with the current project they're working on?
So invest in yourself, invest time in yourself, and move the needle in your business this year. Let's get off that plateau. Let's get off that feeling tired. Let's feel inspired, excited again. Let's feel not lonely. Let's feel like there's a community. There are people that if I am struggling, there's people I can lean on. Get yourself in something like that.
And have fun.
Yeah,
awesome.
have fun. Thanks for
Thanks,
the podcast, guys.
Thanks, Chaps.
Thanks so much.
See you guys next time.
And Denzel.